Maybe you've had the displeasure of being hacked at some point in your life. Maybe you accidentally downloaded some sort of malware or virus onto your computer. And usually with that, some symptoms occur. And as a result, your computer begins to act up, right? Maybe it runs a little bit slower than it used to run. It gets a little more sluggish. It might freeze up on you from time to time as it tries to figure things out. It simply may not be able to do the things that it used to do, which many times leaves us frustrated, and we have to end up bringing our computer in to see a specialist. Well, what I'm about to share with you today is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be sharing with you how your body is very much like that computer that we've been talking about. And it can be hacked in very much the same way. Yes, this wonderful hardware that we've been given is being hacked on a daily basis. And you may be very surprised when you find out who those hackers may be. But no need to worry, because I'm going to be sharing with you two types of hackers that are trying to infiltrate your system on a daily basis. And most importantly, how you can defend yourself against these attacks in order to optimize your operating system to its best potential. Let's dive in. Welcome to episode 44 of the LeRock Show, where I'm here to help you get your fitness back on track at any age and regardless of your current fitness level, so you can spend more quality time with your families, have a brighter outlook on life, and finally find the true joy that life has to offer. I'm your host, that's right, LeRock. I hope your day is going well. I'm feeling extremely grateful today. First of all, because I got to spend the day yesterday with my father, who just turned 80. He's alive and he's well and he's still in my life, and I very much appreciate that. And the other thing, because I get to sit here today and share with you my unique and different perspective in order to help you get further on your weight loss journey and your journey of taking back your health and fitness. For those of you listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify today, thanks for listening as you go about your day. And thank you for your reviews, because it really does help me grow the podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, thanks for being here again today. And I hope you've been taking some critical notes each week and that you're starting to implement some of these little steps and takeaways into your life. And as always, I look forward to your comments and your feedback, because your thoughts and opinions really do matter to me. So for this week's show, I am doing something a bit different. I'm going to ask that you bear with me and keep an open mind as I take you through this idea that your mind and that your body is vulnerable to attacks very much in the same way that your computer is. And just like a computer, there are certain steps that you can take in order to protect and repair the damage that's done. And I'm going to be sharing those steps with you today. But before we get there, if you haven't done so already, I encourage you to take full advantage and download this free gift that I'm offering. If you're like I was, and you're struggling in finding the proper eating approach that can help you lose weight, and you feel like there just might not be one out there for you, then this free gift just might be what you've been looking for. If this is your first time checking in, welcome to the channel. You see, I found myself in the state of obesity not only once, but twice in the past. And the second time around, I ended up creating my very own roadmap for getting myself out. Years later, I ended up writing a book about it called Fit Anyway, the 9 Simple Directives to Win at Weight Loss and Change Your Life Forever. And one of the directives in the book is directive number 3, automate your plate. It's a step-by-step, simple to follow eating approach that I developed, and that I felt that I needed to share with as many people as I possibly could, because it helped me to lose 65 pounds in 13 weeks, and that was more than 15 years ago. That's right, more than 15 years have gone by, and I've maintained a very healthy and fit body without ever going back to that poor state of health. The benefits of this eating approach is it allows you much control of what goes on your plate. It allows you to eat more frequently than you ever have before, all with less time and effort spent, and all while shedding significant amounts of weight. Now, those that have tried it and followed it correctly have had amazing results. So yes, I put together a free step-by-step checklist. I call it the Automate Your Plate checklist, that you can download for free today. And what it does is it takes you through everything that I teach in the book and in the online course, and it simplifies it all down into a single page cheat sheet that you can begin using today, and it steps you through the entire Automate Your Plate process. It's literally a single sheet of paper that steps you through from top to bottom each step of the process so you can check it off as you go through. And the next thing you know, you'll be automating your plate and discovering this wonderful eating approach, the same eating approach that I've been following for more than 15 years now. And I can't say enough about it. If you want to get yourself a copy, you can do so by going to ethanlerock.com/automate. And if you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down below. You can click on it and you can get it there. So what is this talk about being hacked all about? This is a health and fitness channel, right? This is a weight loss channel, right? So why are we talking about being hacked? Well, I know today's show at times may seem a little tongue-in-cheek as I go through the whole process of comparing, our human body to that of a computer system. But if you bear with me, just be a little patient and listen to the message, you may find yourself understanding this whole analogy and how very similar the situations are between your body and the computer. And importantly, the fact that we're subjecting ourselves to intrusions and attacks on a daily basis. And that these attacks that are happening are having a real effect, a real tangible effect on our health, our fitness, our well-being, and many things in our lives. In the end, what many of us want is we simply want to be happy in life. We want to have optimal fitness and health. We want to be financially secure and safe. We want to have good relationships in our lives that last. And we want to feel like we're serving our true purpose in life. All those things feed into happiness and joy. But as we expose ourselves to what I call these hackers that are out there, we leave ourselves very vulnerable. And many times we unknowingly give up our power and control to defend ourselves from these attacks. So I'm going to get right into it and start by sharing with you the two types of hackers that you need to be aware of. The first type of hacker that we're going to talk about is the external hacker. Negative media, television, the internet, social media, the news, you name it. Those are just a bunch of examples. They are all external hackers. And the reason I say this is because they infiltrate the way we feel, the way we think. They infiltrate our perceptions. And they cause all kinds of issues with our operating system. You see, anybody that's been alive for the last couple of years have seen firsthand the damage that this actually is causing. It can be just as real as a hack that takes place on your computer. The virus is created. It infiltrates the system coming in through your eyes and through your ears and targets our perceptions and affects our mood. Isn't it true? For example, you could be having a perfectly good day. Maybe you get to go outside, the sun is shining, it's a beautiful day. You take your little dog for a walk or whatever it is that makes you happy in life, right? And you just get this feeling that comes over you like life is just beautiful and you're so lucky. And then you come into the house and you turn on the television and the news is on. There's war in the Ukraine. There's a COVID-19 dilemma and crisis. There's people fighting on both sides. There's political issues. There's injustice in the world. There are things that just are going on out there that just aren't right. Then there's economics, there's inflation. All the prices of everything are going through the roof. People are afraid. Are they going to be able to keep their houses? Are they going to be able to feed their families? And sadly, what otherwise was a perfectly splendid day, that perfect day that we thought we had, it all disappears. Our whole mindset and our perception and the way we feel and the way we think, it all changes within a few moments of exposing ourselves to the negative media. Or maybe we feel great and we're scrolling along on our phone or on our computer, and all of a sudden we get involved in some sort of battle in social media about some political thing or about some different stance that we take on, getting a vaccination or whatever it might be. And it's just sad. It's sad that we're not aware of it, but we're exposing ourselves to these crazy attacks. And what otherwise would have been a splendid and perfect day turns into us feeling dread, fear, anger, helplessness, sadness, and ultimately, all of it's negative. And I think you get the point. None of this is good for us. So now we kind of have an understanding of what this external hacker is that I'm talking about. The negative media, being exposed to all these things that are out there and coming in at us. Now what I want to talk about is the second type of hacker. And this one's the worst one of all. The second type of hacker is the internal hacker. That's right, you. It's this negative self-talk that we may not even be aware of that's inside our own mind. You could be the most wonderful person, dedicated to the community, selfless person, always helping others, always with kind words to others. But if you aren't being the same way to yourself, if all the things you are saying are negative and self-hating and second-guessing yourself and putting yourself down, then you're actually hurting yourself. You're hacking your own abilities to be happy in life. You see, the internal hacker penetrates deep down into the core operating system, if you want to compare it to a computer. It's these negative statements. I'm not good enough. I'm too fat. I'm such a klutz. Nothing I do is ever right. Oh, here I go again, screwing things up. I can't do that. I'm not skinny enough to try that. I'll never fit in. Who am I? Who would ever want to listen to me? I'm so stupid. I wouldn't like me either. I'm such a loser. I'm too short. I'm too tall. People really don't like me. Who was I to ever think that I was great? These are all just examples of negative self-talk that goes on a daily basis for many, many people. And we all have a different unique background for why that might be. So how do we deal with these two types of hackers? External hackers and internal hackers. Well, the very first thing you need to do in order to take back your life and take back control and prevent these hackers from infiltrating your operating system is to realize that they truly do exist. That I know right now I'm doing a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek comparison between a computer and the human body, but this problem really does exist. And once you understand that, then you now have the power and control to address the situation, to protect yourself from these hacks, to repair the damage that's been done, and to protect yourself from future damage. So for the first type of hacker, the external hacker, what I suggest that you do is run a system scan, just like you would in your computer. Analyze what's happening right now. The way you do that is by paying conscious and targeted and focused attention to what you're doing with your time. What are you exposing yourself to on a regular basis? And the only way you're going to know that is if you start writing some things down. Start keeping track of your habits. What is it that you're doing? What is it that you're doing that's allowing things to infiltrate your eyes and your ears and to change your entire mood? How many times are you exposing yourself to news, to the television shows that are negative? Maybe they have things going on in them that really aren't very positive. The music you listen to, does it have like negative lyrics, demeaning to women or against the police or whatever it might be? Are we spending hours on social media, getting involved in back and forth conversations, throwing zingers out there on Twitter or whatever it might be, just to make people upset or to feed this whole stress addiction that we all seem to have? Write it all down. What is it that you're doing on a daily basis? And do that for an entire week to give yourself an understanding if you fall into this category. Are you spending all this time listening to these things, exposing yourself to watching these things? And once you have that established, and if you do determine that you are exposed to these external hackers, then what I suggest you do is very much like on your computer, is I suggest that you run yourself a defrag. You need to declutter and de-stress your mind. And how do you do that? There's many ways to do it. The most obvious one that I can think of is to get yourself away from all the electronic devices in your life and get out in nature. Get out in nature, get some fresh air, and spend as much of your time as you can away from these electronic devices that you're hooked up to. Realize once again that you are a biological creature, you're a human being, you're made to be out in nature, breathing fresh air, taking things in on a slow and casual basis. not flooding your eyes and your ears with constant strobe lights of information. It's not the way we were set up to be. It's not what we're supposed to be doing with our lives. You can make a focused effort on bringing peace into your life through meditation, through relaxation, getting massages, whatever it might be. Anything to help relax you and calm your mind and bring you back to your center, to who you really should be. So once you've run your defrag, right, on yourself, then what I suggest to you is to avoid those viruses, right? Avoid those attacks, avoid those hacks. That means staying away from negative media. That means staying away from the news shows. That means staying away from the social media groups that encourage all this controversial back and forth. That means don't watch movies that are super negative. Movies about people getting, butchered or attacked or beat up or blown up and, nonstop battles. It just is way too much for your mind to absorb on a consistent basis. And it doesn't mean you avoid having any fun in your life. It just means you should expose yourself to positive media. Watch movies that are joyful, that are family-based, that make you feel good in your heart after you're done watching them or while you're watching them. Listen to music that just gives you this elevated feeling of happiness and joy. If you're going to be in Facebook groups or whatever, go in groups that are positive in nature. Social media groups that you may join, ones that focus on positive behavior. Maybe focus on pets and the way they affect our lives or whatever it might be that brings you joy. Because the bottom line is, the only way a hacker can get inside from the outside is if you let them. If you let them by exposing, very much like your computer. If you plug in the Ethernet port, right? Or you go on the wireless network, that's when you are exposed to these hacks. It's the same exact way with your body and with your mind. If you leave yourself open to these things, you are vulnerable. And you need to be extra careful to protect yourself. And the one final option I have for you to defend yourself against these external hackers is to become a content creator rather than a content consumer. And by that I mean it's a lot of work, it is. But to focus your energy and your time on creating something wonderful, something positive, something that can help others in the world. And create that thing, whatever it might be. Like in the case of this channel right here, I could spend my time doing many, many things with my days, but I choose to try to come up with the most positive message that I can send out to as many people as possible so I can actually help people, raise them up, make them feel hope again, maybe help them lose a few pounds, yeah, but mainly so they can get their health back, so they can get their health and fitness back, and so that they can start doing all those things that they want to do in life. That might be something you want to try, becoming a creator of content rather than an excessive consumer of content. And staying with the computer analogy, become more of an uploader than a downloader. Okay, so I think you get it. So now let's talk about how we can defend ourselves against the worst hacker of all, the internal hacker. You see, the internal hacker is the most dangerous of all. And the reason I say that, because many times it's operating in stealth mode. It's getting in there sneakily, and we may not even be aware that it's there. It sneakily invades our entire operating system right down on the core level. You see, I'm not a licensed therapist, so for this one, I would recommend that for many people, that they reach out and seek out professional help. You see, we all have different exposures in life. We all have different experiences, things we've gone through that are unique. So we all have varying levels of this type of attack. Sometimes the damage is so deep in the operating system that there's not much that we can do on our own to repair the situation. We need a professional. But other than seeking out a professional to come and fix the system, right? There are things that we can do as well. I implore you to take this serious. I know it's funny, but I implore you to take it serious. Become uber conscious of the things that you are saying in here to yourself. And if you catch yourself and you find yourself that now you've become aware of it, that you're saying negative things to yourself on a regular basis without even thinking about it, then I implore you to do something about it. If you see negative internal attacks and self-hate taking place, then you have to do something about it. You need to stop those activities from occurring. You need to stop them from infiltrating your system and the way you feel and the way you think. And one of the best antiviruses that we can put in place to protect ourselves from these types of attacks of self-hate is what? It's self-love. You see, through positive affirmations, positive thinking, you can take back control. You can rewrite the code and repair all the damage that's taken place. You have the power to do that. You are good enough. You are beautiful. You are smart. You are worthy. You are enough. You are a good person. People do love you. You are special. You are unique. You do have something wonderful to offer to the world. You need to believe that. You need to start by saying it. If you don't believe that and you discover that you are saying these bad things to yourselves, you need to learn first by saying it out loud. Say it out loud if you need to. Shout it as loud as you need to shout it until you overcome these thoughts in your mind. You are a wonderful human being. There is no reason you should think otherwise. And your thoughts and your opinions and your perspective on the world, it has meaning. It has value. It is important. And you need to remember that. You may be wondering, this is a health and fitness channel. This is a weight loss channel, isn't it, Ethan? Shouldn't you be doing some push-ups or something and showing me how to build my chest? Well, in my mind, very much like a virus attacks a computer or a biological virus attacks our body, these psychological viruses that we allow to come into our minds through our eyes and through our ears and through the exposure that we open ourselves up to, these viruses are just as real. They have a huge impact on our entire operating system. They crush our mood. They make us feel like we're less than what we really are. They instill fear, anger, stress, worry. And what do we do about all that? We combat the stress by reaching out for high-calorie foods and any particular thing that will give us instant gratification, an instant escape from this pain that we're feeling. And ultimately, all of this has a very big impact on our number one defense, our immune system, right? Just like the computer, our body begins to display some symptoms. It starts running more sluggishly. It starts being slower to respond. Our ability to think is impaired. We get stuck in our thoughts and we become indecisive. We have a hard time making the easiest decision. We get overwhelmed and we're unsure of what to do next. And this causes many of us to give up and turn to other things, other escapisms, other distractions. So my advice is simple. You need to protect yourself from these external hackers in the ways I just spelled out. And when it comes to the internal hacking that's taking place on a daily basis, you need to do everything you can to nip that in the butt too. You can stop these attacks dead in their tracks and start taking things back by writing your own code to this whole thing. You have the power to do it, but that decision to do something about it is entirely up to you. And if you are in fact finding that this applies to you, that you are currently in a state of overwhelm because of it, then I highly suggest that you follow these steps that I just spelled out to you. And if part of your overwhelm is this whole idea of what's the best eating approach that I can use to lose weight or to get my health and fitness back, then I encourage you once again to take full advantage and download my Automate Your Plate checklist. The Automate Your Plate checklist, what it does really well is it cuts out all the confusion, it holds you by the hand and takes you through in a step-by-step approach of how to automate your plate, how to try out a very different eating approach that might just be the answer that you're looking for. It's as simple as download it, print it, follow the steps, no thinking required. If you want to get yourself a copy, you can get that by going to ethanlerock.com/automate. And if you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down below. You can click on it and you can get it there. So I'm curious. I know today's show is very different. It was a bit out there. I was comparing the human body and mind to that of a computer. But I hope in my heart of hearts that by being a little silly and taking you there, that I was able to shift your perspective a little bit, to help you see things from a little bit of a different angle, and to help you discover some things about yourself that maybe you never knew. Do you have any external hackers that have been attacking your system that you've been leaving yourself exposed to? Or even worse, do you have an internal hacker that's been working away at your system on a daily basis? As always, please feel free to share in the comments. Maybe share some of your experiences, as it may just serve to help some others out there that are struggling. And I might even jump in and give you a reply or go more in depth on a future video that can help address the problem that you're having. Because if there is a need, I'm always happy to do the best that I can to fill that need. Have a blessed remainder of the day and the week. And until we meet again, stay healthy, be happy, and live your life with intention every single day.